Hey guys, how you going? Hope you guys are going good. As you can see by the title, this is what I've learned from not having social media, and I'd say solidly about 4 months, pretty well. I've had no social media. There's been a few times where I've like relapsed and just like gone on there just for like probably like just re-downloaded and gone on there for like 15 minutes, like here and there. Very brief, usually with like intention behind it, like to see if someone's DM'd me or just to see what's going on, you know what I mean? But pretty well, these are some of the things that I've learned while not having social media. So the first one being is when you completely detox social media out of your life, your whole dopamine receptors go into fucking overdrive. And they go into overdrive because they're not getting constantly stimulated or validated in the way that they should be. And well, the way that we become accustomed to being. And because of that, this is what happened to me. I was so like, I felt so much more like pressure, like to fucking like be doing stuff or like to be talking to people, or just I felt like I needed to be doing something. But after that passed, what I've learned from that is when you can really come down from the whole just rush that it hits you straight away, that whole like just initial first phase, and you go into like second phase of your mind sort of adjusting to not constantly getting stimulated by social media and the gratification that you can get and the validation that you can find online. Your attention span improved dramatically to the point that you don't even realize. Like, I can be sitting now and like watching a documentary or watching something that I'm not even that interested in, but I can just sit there and watch it, and I'll like look at the time. It's been like 26 minutes. I'm going, fucking wow, like how does that just like happen like that? Back in the day, probably like over like 6 months ago, when I was like just a normal fucking user, and I've never been like really heavy on social media anyways, but I'd be sitting there and going, wow, 26 minutes just all of a sudden. That's fucking pretty crazy, not gonna lie. Like, time just flies. And it's, you don't even have to be interested in it, but because it stimulates your mind and engages your mind in such a stronger way. Now, after not being on it, like having the detox, it's like you can learn things a lot quicker and a lot snappier and a lot sharper. That is another thing that I've learned as well. I'd say the second biggest thing that I've learned from social media is because obviously you're not getting that gratification and that validation or approval from anyone else around you. You really go into your own head and you really start to like dig deep internally within yourself, because you can't get this instant validation and the gratification from like posting social media and looking at people and just whatever the hell, just comparing yourself and whichever way you want to do it. You really like dig deep into yourself internally, and you really start to like feel your feelings so much more intensely, and so much more you're really like conscious of how you think and how you feel. And it's one of those things. And I think another thing as well is whenever you're around people, once you've truly had this detox, when you're around people, these people like sort of bends to your realism, your like presence. They sort of like look at you and they just start being way more engaged and way more wanting to communicate, because it's like you're naturally doing something and they're trying to almost like figure out what it is that you've got. But all it is that you've got is you've got a lack of something. And that lack of something is something that is fabricated and it's just out there. And here's the thing, I'm not going to be permanently off social media. Later down the track, when I've got my shit sorted out and I'll create my brand and do what I want to do, I'll then use social media, because it's a very, very, very important tool to have, because you can expand your brand at the click of your fingers. But the whole system behind it, the systematic like addiction that has been pushed onto our generation and slowly formed and built on, it makes it very difficult to unwind from that, come out of that, and use it productively. But I managed to like kick myself out of that a little bit. I can see like where social media is, I know what it is, And once I got my stuff sorted out, I'll be able to like intertwine back into it, but also like doing that thing where it's like I'm not fully getting indulged in it, using it for what its purpose actually is, and that's to promote, to create, and to just put out there pretty well. So yeah, those are the main things I've learnt pretty well from it. And obviously just being so much more real as well, being in this present moment more when you're having conversations with someone. It's like you're desperately trying to like stimulate your like, you want to talk, you know what I mean? Like you're sitting there going like, wow, okay, like I'm having a conversation right now. Like I'm actually getting into it. You want to talk more. You have that social craving, that urge, that physical social craving. Like not like anyone can, they get, if people want to be social, right? Technically, you could classify that, you could categorize that as being like, okay, I'm going to lay in my bed in darkness and just be social. It's like being social. It's one of those things. It's not really, it's that overdrive. It's that fucking vitamin that you eat and it's like, that actually does the job. But it's not the job. That is not being social. That is not, you shouldn't classify that as being actually social. And yeah, I feel like my social skills have gotten better as well. And just one of those things. But also one thing as well is because you go, because you have this big lack of like actually getting that instant gratification, you do feel lonely. Like I do feel lonely a lot of the time. But what I've actually realized is that being lonely or is that just being normal? Like truly, is that being lonely or is that just being normal? I don't think that we as humans should be constantly like get that social fix all the time, which is a big part of why before internet was a big thing, why people were, say for example, our parents, right? Back in the day, they tell you stories and they used to go to parties and stuff and they used to talk and socialize and network. Everyone was so much more real, present. Everyone was so much more down to talk, down to have a better, stronger character, more stronger personalities, because that's what mattered. But now it's like, we don't have to do that. We can do it in our imagination. And I think that is quite insane, personally. And I would hope the fact that people start to realize why that is a problem and can, fix that. And hopefully our generation can sort of sort that out, but also our kids' generation as well. Hopefully then as well that the problem dies down and it just becomes more of something that is more aware of what can happen in society, because I don't want my kids growing up being like glued to a screen. No way. When I have kids, I'm going to be taking them out, going on adventures, teaching them, like allowing them to be their best self in their own way, express themselves in the best way possible, but also guide them. I don't think that any parent should sit here and enforce rules upon your child, but never enforce like the way to be and the way to act and the way to think. No, we're all individuals. Anyways, this has taken a bit of a wild turn. And it's just the way my mind works. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. But back on social media. Yes, it's good if you want to have a complete detox, but you have to remember that you will have that lonely sense of feeling. You will feel yourself so much more. You will feel like you're living this individual life. But once you start to like get in the flow of things and you get used to it, that's when you wake up and you're like, all right, this is what we're going to do today. We're doing this, doing that. We're going out there, getting this stuff done, and it's going to work out better for you, but you're not going to feel, things will just happen so much more naturally. That's what I'm pretty well trying to say. So if you made it this far, this video, I really appreciate it, and I'm up and coming. It's going to be something that I'm going to work on this YouTube channel, and eventually we'll get there, don't worry. I've got a lot of stuff to tell, and all I'm trying to do pretty well, my whole intention is to just help people pretty well, and just share my personal experiences in life from what I've learned. So yeah, if you made it this far, good on you, and hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.